what's up, Monica? So we're here. We don't talk that much. So we be
I
busy
know
doing the
it's been a
things we be
while.
doing. I know.
It's okay. I'm getting back into. I'm catching up. I didn't realize. Okay, so I didn't realize this until like I did my first like co-star podcast, and I was like, man, I got some cool friends. Like, and you're one of them. So I'm grateful for that. Got a little bit of little philosophers. Got the sound healer, and a plethora of many more. But it's exciting. It's exciting.
It is.
With you being the sound guy, which is interesting because I thought of you the other day. One of my friends, and I don't even know how I came across this link, but he was talking to me about his pineal gland, and I was like, hang on. And I had a tuning fork about this big, super small, and it was created for the pineal gland. So I was like, here, use this. Don't use it more than 3 times. And it seems like it's been helping. So I was like, okay. I was like, I bet James has this.
I mean, there's a lot of different. I mean, I guess we. My thing is let us. I like to take it down to like simplistic ideologies, right? We're
Yeah.
talking about this idea of the pineal gland, and he's saying that my guides and this, that, and the third, and I'm trying to talk to him, and I'm trying to discern, right?
Yeah.
Um, my first thing is before we begin to start talking about talking with the guys and talking with that, um, understanding your own self-protection and what is required when doing starting these
Yeah.
movements into, let us say, this extrasensual perception.
Mhm.
Because when we start doing it, there's many things that's out there trying to get our attention. I mean, uh, your angels, your guides. We say guides, angels, your ancestors, other jokers running around trying to, trying to get in there too. And
Right.
so, with that being said, we have to become uh, a gardener of our own mind. And as I say that in a way of physicality, I mean that in when we're translating into the mental realm. And I think the issue is when we understand that when we are thinking, or let us say beginning to step into these archetypical thought processes. So when we're listening to our guides understand things from archetypical thought process. Um, and so as we begin to understand how to interact with them, I would say first understand what natural law is. And when I say that, by natural law is understanding who you are before you
Mhm.
go out and try to get some guidance from something else other than you, because all the answers are really inside of you. And so even when we're say that we're gonna go out and we're gonna reach and we want to talk to these ancestors, not because we're not whole and complete, not because uh let us say that we're needing or lacking, or say that we would like to have a conversation. We would like to see what they have to say. And at the same time, like I said before, protection. Well, how do we do that? First, by simply imagining light around your body, but imagining light like almost like eternal light. And this idea is that we're creating a mental construct of protection.
Right, right. All is mine.
It's correct. And at the same time, when we say mind, I think that in today's reality, because there's been this push, Eckhart Tolle, it's like, and this idea of mindfulness and then being full of mind, but then this idea of like, oh, you're too much in your head, there's too much thinking. And you see, we get this like this contrast between, well, what the hell is mind then? Right? Well,
Right,
all is
right,
mind. Well, what does that mean? You see, that's the understanding. That's the thing, is that we will say all is mine. Well, what really is that? Well,
right.
shoot, okay, well, what it is. Well, let's talk about it for a second here. Hold on, let me see something. I got something here.
Oh, I like that.
Paradox.
Haha.
So when you say paradox, this whole thing when we talk about all is mind, it's a paradox. It's two entry points. And these entry points, there's water in between these two entry points. I'm gonna show you what I mean in just a
Words.
second. I'm gonna show you what I mean by that.
Okay. Break it down for me.
Yeah, I am.
I know every time I see certain words or hear certain words, I'm like, oh, hold on a second
So
here.
this is what I mean by this. Yeah, right. All is mind, the universe is mental. Okay.
Yes.
Well, let's check this out. Well, largely, most people believe that they live in a objective world, not a subjective world. Okay. All right. Well, let's look at the definitions here. It tells us that things that are objective are not dependent on the existence of the mind. Well, how is all is mind? And if it's not existent by they're talking about a different construct. They're talking about ideas that are physical and not ideas that are, we're talking about non-tangible things. Okay. But even as we look at this idea of objective, that the things that are objective, we can say those things are facts. We can say, oh, that's facts. Yeah. You know,
That's
because
the
it's
thing.
easy to observe, right?
Right, right.
Okay. Now, subjective. By the way, ob means large, ject means throw. So we're talking about a large throw,
Yeah,
right? And so sub, which underneath, throw. So, or we could say movement, a
right.
lar- a larger movement, a smaller movement.
Okay.
Another, so the other thing here is we're talking about subjective, or we're talking about the idea things that are dependent upon the mind.
Right.
In other words, is that subjective things create objective things. The subjective world is what creates the objective world. Our subjective world is the real world, not the objective one.
See.
The subjective world is the world, is the mental realm,
Yeah.
is the realm of mind of us, how it is that we perceive reality, what it is and what it ain't in its mental constructs. And at the same time, if we do not apply certain laws and things, we will fall victim to objective things if we
Right.
are not prepared on a in a subjective way.
That makes sense. It kind of reminds me of like the whole which came first, the chicken or the egg? The thought came first. The thought came
Exactly.
before both of them.
Yeah. And so that's, you know what though, see, that's kind of the whole point here. I share this again. I share this and I just share these slides with people when we had this conversation because I feel it's a lot easier to relate ideas through illustration. And we say, actually, I got something else. I got a whole nother. I'll show you what I'm really kind of what I'm hot on, really. And I'm gonna show you this because
Yeah.
it's really cool. Okay.
Always got some good knowledge.
Oh
I'm down.
yeah. Oh yeah. And so we check this little map out here that I have. And so this little map that I have here is something what I'm calling the lens system.
Hmm.
Okay. So the whole point is that in order to understand how this lens system works, you have to understand natural law. At the
Right.
same time, it's a way to be able to like the entire reality we talk about, it's all is mind, it's a mental construct. And so what do I mean by that? It's stories told over and over and over and over. And I can just keep on saying that, but it's the same stories. It's the same matrix. And matrix means environment. Matrix also means womb and water.
Right. Right.
So are we living in a matrix? Yes. And into mental constructs, but we only way for us to rise to the stars is begin in a way. It's like, check this out, right? We we have these like, let us say like the idea of, well, you know what? Let me explain it as in this graph right here, and it will make sense
Okay.
about it, right? So I'll give you a moment. Have you been looking at it?
Yeah, I was thinking. I don't know why the how am I question it
Uh-huh.
is a weird question because like I've never asked myself that, but then it feels different when I read it because it's not like how am I doing? It feels like how am I? Like how am I here? You know? Or am I actually here?
Oh, or just am I? What about am I?
Right, right.
I mean,
That's the one.
yeah,
Ooh,
am I? So what I mean by that is this, is that if we want to understand how to nurture ourselves, we must understand how nature functions. So through understanding like any system, see this any system, uh when you understand how it functions and operates, then you know how to navigate it. What I mean is it's like this, the universe. And we have systems like numbers. Well, numbers represent things of aspects of the universes themselves.
mm-hmm.
So when the reason why I have 0 and 1 here is because in itself, 0 and 1 in itself is a paradox. And that's really the issue. And we say, like, well, what is zero? Well, is zero something or is zero nothing?
Right.
Well, it's got to be something. It
Yeah,
can't
what
be
happened?
nothing, right?
Exactly.
Or we could really say it could be everything and nothing at the same time. And that's
Hmm.
really the the truth of it. And what do we mean by that? Something that is everything and nothing at the same time.
Yeah.
What I mean is, it's like what you said earlier, right?
Yeah.
You said what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? What came first, the 0 or the 1,
Right. Right. That's the
right?
question.
Because for something to be or exist, it is the 1, right? So
It's
what
the
existed
Ouroboros.
first? So what existed first? So if we said nothing existed first, but how can nothing be something? See, this is the conundrum that we this is the paradox of this conundrum in which we struggle from, like literally.
Yes.
So, well, which one came first?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, in order for something to come first, something has to be, we had something what we call time has to exist or eternity has to exist in order for us to even consider this conversation, right?
Exactly.
So, which came first? Well, obviously, the 0 came first. When we say 0 as the aspect of everything and nothing at the same time. Why? Well, if you have every single thing jammed up into one spot and it's indistinguishable from anything else, what do you got? Well, you got nothing because you can't distinguish it.
Right. Right.
And it's everything,
Ooh.
you see? And so think about 0. When we think about 0, we have to understand a simple concept like, well, it is the 0 point. Okay. The idea of the 0 point. So what's
Right.
another word for the 0 point? I mean, we just gonna, I mean, like, just simplify it and take it all the way down to what it actually is. So what's another word for the 0 point?
Avoid.
Void. We could say, okay, now you went somewhere that I'll talk about that later on, how the 0 point is a void, right? And that's what we're really talking about. It. Or we could say it's a infinite space for things to exist within. That's the first aspect, anyways. But when I'm saying the 0 point, when you look at a picture, right? And we look at what the 0 point, well, the 0 point is the center, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's another word for the center?
Mm. Ooh. Center.
Middle,
Middle. Yeah. It was middle. Median.
median,
Let's see. Hold on.
mean.
Yeah. True.
Get some other ones though. What
Trying
about
to think because
these?
I don't
Come
want to
on.
dive into the Dow. Uh, I mean, I guess you could. I don't know if that really falls into that category, but
There's a couple other words we haven't said yet that ties it all together though. I haven't said intentionally.
let's
Another
see.
word for 0 point,
Kind of like
middle point. I'm not talking about ones that. What about this one? Heart.
true.
So the word 0 point means heart. Oh shit. Okay.
Oh yeah,
What about with this? The word 0 point means core.
true.
Now think about the second law, Hermetic principle. It's the law of correspondence, saying that everything responds to the core. Everything is a mirror reflection of the core.
Ah,
So,
source.
okay, so all right. So another thing, another way that we could say that is also the center is Earth. Okay. And so when you take the H and put it on the other side, what you got? Heart.
Oh, go heart. Yeah,
Oh yeah. So in the beginning, so in the you move them around, right? This transfiguration. And so
yeah,
you begin to start saying, oh man, like there's the heart, the center, the 0 point, and oh my God, it's all telling us the same story. That everything comes from what? The 0 point. Every piece of literature that you could think of has to do with something surrounded around something being in the middle,
yeah.
something uh balance, harmony,
Right.
heart, 0 point. Every single construct that we can think of that is going to bring us to a higher elevated state has something to do with that idea and construct. It,
Exactly. The hot and
so
cold question got me the other day because I was asking somebody, I said, okay, so how do you differentiate hot from cold? What are you actually measuring? It's not the heat or the coolness. Like where is that point of it's either this or that? Because 69 in the summer don't feel like 69 in the wintertime, but it's still 69 degrees.
well, there you go. It
It's
comes
just
down
like
to
a
the
volume.
it comes down to like it comes down to perception, and
Right.
it comes down to it's like this. Me too, because I've been running almost like out in a pair of shorts running down the street at negative like -3 degrees outside. So
Hey,
that's
well,
cold. Now that's real cold, you know.
yeah.
So between like some people, sometimes I'll be outside and it'll be like 50 degrees outside and I'll have like some sweatshirt on and some pants. I'm like, damn, it's cold. And then I remember it's like, no, it's not cold. I'm feeling uncomfortable right now. The temperature is feeling uncomfortable. It is not that it is cold, right? And so if I tell myself like that's cold, then I'm gonna be like, oh, my ability to uh, adjust and be in particular types of weather then will be in other words, I'll be hypnotizing myself into thinking what is and what isn't and limit myself through my labeling of what is and isn't.
So what you are doing is mental alchemy.
Yes.
I
At
got
the
you.
same time, it's like when we talk about the law of correspondence, so above, so below. We understand nature through its observation, and then we apply that to the realm of mental because we know that that is only a mirror reflection of what nature is.
Right,
So
right.
we understand external alchemy is also a reflection of how we can use uh, mental alchemy.
Mhm.
And that's kind of like what I'm talking about here. And that's why I began to start talking about the zero and talk about, well, what zero actually is. And for us to understand like the concept of what the zero is. And then we can say, okay, well, what's one then? Well, what is unity? Because first of all, zero is a concept. If we starting with zero, we starting with a two concept. Well, damn, James, you're starting with a zero when you're starting with a two. Well, yeah. But really, okay, so well, what's one? Well, if we started with two with zero and then one, the actual one must be a three. Well, yeah. Well, and see, that's what I mean. How
Yeah,
these systems get
yeah.
confused because you have to understand the difference between linear thinking and numerology.
Right,
Okay.
right.
And what is the difference between linearity and numerical? Okay. I'm smiling. Okay. When I say numerical, what I mean is a numerical. Okay. A zero, which is nothing, manifests itself to be something. Okay. Let's see the first miracle right here. In the beginning, God created heavens and the earth was void and without
Oh,
form.
sorry.
Shit, God created some shit, ain't even create some shit.
Right.
Zero. So the idea of the void, the idea of thought and what that is,
Yeah.
right? And so that's why I say it's like to understand the concept of zero is to understand the concept of two. So to understand the concept of one, you must understand the concept of three. Okay.
Exactly.
So three
To it.
in itself is so I say if everything is one, that's what the concept is. Everything is unity. But I just got done talking about how zero really is everything's right. Now we're moving into one because we have to begin to start making distinctions. But
The
in
labeling
even
again.
yeah, but even in its distinction, we're only looking at the evolution of what it actually is, not that it lost itself in any way.
I see. I see.
Yeah. So that's why I said that now, because we could not draw distinctions from everything and nothing. But in order for us to draw a distinction, we talk
Right.
about the concept of unity, which is a concept of three. Okay.
Yeah, I
So
got
when
you.
I say a concept of, so that's why really the number three is the first whole number, three. Okay. Why do I say that? Because when I said earlier, numerical, the numbers propagate out of numericals or how the universe functions and operates. So we have a concept of zero of everything and nothing. Now, this numerical it's going to become it's going to bring itself into distinction as being unified. Well, how is it going to do that? Okay, as being unified as actually being the truth, being the existence of unity of everything. Well, how do you do that? Well, you do that through the Trinity.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do I mean by the through the Trinity? What I mean is this is that every single thing in a universe really is a feedback loop. Okay. So in order for me to talk about a concept of what that which is true, another Hermetic principle, that all truths but half truths. Okay. Well, if I say that's why I said, well, zero is everything and nothing. But I took both of those half truths and made them a whole.
Exactly.
And so now we say, well, if I say, well, what is one? We have to validate that. There has to be an energetic movement to validate that as being true, as being what it actually is. So the first statement is that it is true. Everything is true. Okay.
Mhm.
Then it is true without error, meaning that okay, it is true without error. Then it is true and true.
Yeah.
So how we prove truth is threefold. And the one is threefold. What I mean by that, in another way to look at it is that you get a piece of information.
Right.
You take that piece of information, you apply that information. Let us see that information is how to plant a seed, right? And you take that seed and you plant that seed.
Mhm.
Now, and that person tells you all how to plant that seed. Okay. But you never, at some point, you never go and plant the seed. Well, you will never know that that piece of information is actually true
Right.
because true is an experience. It's a feedback loop that goes all the way through. And so when you plant a seed, it goes all the way from conception, then it bears actual flowers, then fruit. You take that fruit, you take it and you plant another seed. And see, that is what we call truth. And that's really the circle of life
Yeah.
of understanding death, life, birth.
Hmm.
And see, the construct of unity is a construct of Trinity, a
Right.
Trinity of movement. And that's what three stands for. Three stands for movement. And at the same time, as we elevate ourselves, four stands for stability. And so when we think about our mental states, because we will say that it is the fourth dimension or the mental realm,
Right.
okay? But and the Bible says a double-minded man will be unstable in all its ways. Because why is it a double-minded? It's double-minded because it sees itself separate from itself.
Yep. Double, dual, devil.
Exactly. Divided. And so that's the issue. That it's not divided. You have to unify, and the unification of self or the Trinity of or the unity is a Trinity.
Right.
See, and that's why. these concepts and ideas can be sometimes a bit confusing. But
Yeah,
anyways,
I like that.
so yeah,
It makes sense though. I was thinking the other day because I was like, hold on. It was a Watsky song and something he said, and it was a line, and he was saying, he said, I'm the 4 year old. What did he say? He said, I'm the 4 year old that spilt the milk. I'm the old lady that did this, and I'm this and this. And he said, I'm a Russian nesting doll. And I was like, holy crap, that is true. Because at the same time, like I never, all it was me moving through time. So me, I'm 99, I'm 100 and whatever. I'm 2 years old, but it's like without space time, I still am. I just am. But it's kind of like the presentation. It's same thing with the seed and the tree. Tree is in
mhm,
the seed. The seed contains the tree, but the tree also contains the seed, and it just constant
yep,
overlapping and forward motion
yep,
or
and that's
circular motion, I should say.
yeah, that's actually what I demonstrated earlier when I was showing you, and I didn't say it, but when I was saying all is mind, and I showed you this cube, and it was a hypercube. Go just outway, okay. Just the little thing at the top. It was moving in and out of itself.
Yes.
It's a hypercube, and that is no, this little bad boy right here, that bad apple, him,
Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, the little R
yeah, yeah, him right here is
like that.
the same. This construct of it's so within, so without,
Right.
and we're looking at the reflection inside of it, in and outside of itself.
Yes. Like
Another
an
way to look at this and see when we begin to start, let me go to another slide. Let me go to a little graph here. And then you, because you made a statement earlier and explain some ideas and constructs, but
mm,
all this stuff is about languaging, and but
yeah.
but when we look at the language, it's very interesting how functions operate. But what I want to talk about is this guy. His name is Isaac Bentov.
Okay.
Is- Isaac Bentov wrote a book. It was called the Stalking the Wild Pendulum.
Ooh, that sounds
And in this book, he talked about how
be right.
when you have a pendulum and
Uh-huh.
it moves, it goes up this way and then it goes up the other way. But at that point where it's here, and then at that second, then it begins to start falling. So it goes from rising and falling. What he says is that because motion or velocity goes to zero,
Mm.
if velocity goes to zero, mass goes to zero. And if mass goes to zero, what happens? Energy goes to zero.
It.
And we know
Yeah,
that's
that's it.
impossible. So in
Potential
that
is
transition
still there.
mode, in that transition mode, what happens is that it goes into a state of energetic infinity. And when something happens, imagine if something would go past the speed of light. If something goes past the speed of light, then it would travel in a it would experience a okay, how do I want to explain this? Because there's two different ways where I want to explain it about how, okay, let me say this. Okay. Think about this. Have you ever had a dream and that dream felt like it was like you were there, maybe you went to sleep for like 5 minutes or 20 minutes, and but it felt like it was like 20 like hours long.
Oh
Or
gosh,
like,
yeah.
huh?
All the time.
All the
I'm like,
time, right?
dang,
And
I
you
ain't been
feel like you've
no
like,
time.
all of this time. Now, here's the thing. And we watched this movie, it's called Inception, and with a dream within a dream and within a dream. And think about this. They are experiencing things that days, I mean, like years of oh, not years, but in that space, they were months of experience. And in their physical body, this is what's happening. So what is happening there? How is that possible? How that what how that's possible is because they're experiencing subjective time, a greater because their ability to perceive reality has gone beyond the speed of light. And
Ah,
because it's
another
gone
movie that
beyond the speed of light or nearing the speed of light, their ability to experience more is greater. It's special relativity, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, I think of Interstellar too was like that. There was
yes, and that's what
you saw it.
happens.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
what
And he
happens? Your
kind of knew
awareness.
his
That's right.
right,
Your
right,
awareness is speeding up, nearing the speed of light, and because of those higher vibrations, you can perceive greater amounts of information.
right.
Okay. So that's ultimately what we're talking about. And so but what happens when that thing is beginning to start nearing the speed of light? It's clicking out. Well, where is it clicking out to? It's going to the 0 point.
So that's probably where they get the double slit experiment from. That concept of, well, where is the particle?
Well, I think it's with that particular experiment. Um, Number one, I think it has to do with the observer and the
Yeah,
intention of the observer.
right.
And that, okay, let's talk about this idea, okay?
Okay.
Is physical reality is only really decayed light. This physical reality is decayed light. So really everything is just energy. So
Yeah,
if it's a particle and I'm saying it's a particle, then it's just more decayed light. You can see that when it behaves like light, if there's more function, there's more interaction. And then when it behaves like a particle, there's less movement, there's less behavior. Why? It's decayed. There's
yeah.
less energy.
Particle versus wave.
Exactly.
I
And
got you.
so we can say that our awareness collapses the waveform into the particle.
Right.
At the same time, it really just comes down to how do I say the intention of the observer. And if the observer understands how to operate natural law and understand how to elevate the minds through mental construct, or should I say unified mental construct.
Right.
So this little chart that I have here is a in a way an inversion of what I was talking about. This pendulum thing, it's an inversion of what that is. Okay.
Okay.
So
Oh,
what
what
I
was the name of
mean,
that book?
what'd you say? It's Isaac Bentov Stalking the Wall
Sorry.
Pendulum.
Talking about, okay. I'm
Yeah,
gonna write
it's a
that down.
really good read.
Cool. Thank you.
He talks about black holes and white holes and talking about how black holes. I mean, it's really good. It's really good. Anyways, I uh okay, so what I was talking about the pendulum, this is actually an inversion, but I did this slide here to kind of demonstrate the idea of what sin is and to demonstrate the idea of really when we talk about healing, what that is. Well, healing is just really going through resistance, right? So
Ah,
that's what it is. When you go uphill, let's go to resistance, right? And so healing just means interference,
right.
interfere, right?
Oof.
And so when I say these, we can both look at that. I give you when I give you, should I say, this idea. I look at words and things from a standpoint of absolute and relative,
Yeah.
and at the same time, it's like when you understand the natural law, everything is either relative or correlated.
Mm,
It's either relative or correlated. And so I use relative and correlations in order to draw greater meaning from something. Now, what is meaning? Meaning means average.
mm,
What does average mean? Average means to confirm to us to confirm to be true. A
mm,
state of confirmed to be true. Another feedback loop.
mm-hmm.
So meaning is actually a mathematical process. And so when I'm looking at how do I draw meaning, well, this word and this word in a like I said, they are similar, they're correlated. And
Mm-hmm.
because they're correlated, how are they correlated? And I take that and I draw the greater meaning from those relationships. And so through understanding absolute and relative constructs, we can see that how this idea of healing is we say, oh, it's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing, but what's really happening? You're just going through resistance. The reason why you need to heal is because some type of resistance that has to be released. right? The same idea we say ego or energy go, a state of energy can't flow. The same constructs over and over again. And so that's to me, it's like I take those same principles and constructs. I say it's a three or a two, and you'll see how the energy moves.
Yeah, yeah. The snake eating its own tail kind of ordeal.
Yes, it's like, well, I say like what I mean by that is it's like we were talking about earlier when I say numerical, and I
Yeah,
was saying like, well, what is a numerical? Every time something happens, there's something greater going on.
right.
And I started with a two construct, but I was trying to, well, how do I talk about what is a zero, what is a one, what is a two? And I
Yes,
was like, well, I'm going to explain them through constructs and how they function and operate and what they offer as they move forward. Not
yeah,
just saying one, two, three, four, and as an arbitrary unit of just counting things, that's
right.
different. And that's why I say we can talk about arbitrary counting and how the constructs of the number lend us greater information.
Yeah. Now, as far as the zero and the one, how does that correlate with the seed of life or the flower of life? Because that kind of present, I think I saw a little bit of clip of it in there in your PowerPoint, but that movement in a circular pattern, how does that
Yeah,
correlate?
okay, cool. That's a great question. I got a slide on that. I got it. Hold on. Oh yeah, I got a slide on this.
Ooh, and then I got a follow-up question on that too.
Yeah, I could have answered it, but I got a slide on it because I made it and it looks nice.
I know, I
So I
thought I
wanted to show
saw
it
it,
to
but I
you.
was like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, this is
Juicy
one.
stuff.
I made this.
Oh,
Oh,
now is
you
that
can see.
Metatron's cube?
Uh-huh. You can
Cube
say,
with an
okay, all right. What this is really is, we could say we could say this is Metatron's cube. Or
okay.
remember when I was showing you here. Okay,
Oh,
all
the
right. Now we're moving
envelopment
into
of
some.
the.
We're gonna move in some deeper to numerology. See these little charts I got sitting here.
Oh
We
yeah,
can
yeah,
move into some deeper numerology, but first, in order to show this, I want to start from the basic
yes.
idea and construct, and I have what the flip flop drip drop of the
Get
slide.
them.
I can't find it. I don't. I'm. I'm like, what did I? Okay, hold on. I have a. Anyways, basically, it's like okay. I want to slide. I want to find the slide because it's cool looking.
I thought I saw it, but I don't
Uh,
know. Kind of glancing.
no, I have I don't remember. I made a hold on. I made a whole nother presentation. Hold on. I think that's the issue. That I made another presentation, but I renamed it something then.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. I will say you are a pro at these presentations. Like they always are. Pose very well.
I can't remember what I did with it. No, it's called yes. Yes, I found it.
Hey.
All
Aha.
right. So this is some of the new stuff I've been working on too. It's pretty cool.
Oh, cool, cool.
Um boom, right here.
Stuff.
It should be something inside of here. Oh, there we have come on, Hema. Hema don't want to play. Hold on, I had to stop sharing. Share share there we go. Hema got a oh, oh, press that. Yay. Okay, here we go. I didn't put okay, all right. See right there? Okay, all
Oh yeah.
right. So this little slide right here. And I bring it back to the Bible, but you can see, watch what I'm just gonna let the video play. Let me see.
Get incredibly complex, so I'll try and keep it simple. Imagine consciousness, or spirit, floating in a void, which means it's nothingness, and then spirit. No physical body or mind, just spirit. And that's it. Then blackness, essentially nothing, all around the spirit, for infinite. Spirit decides to do something, so it expands its consciousness all around itself as far as it can go without moving. It creates a sphere around itself. This is the first circle in the flower of life. Then, spirit has an awareness of what's around itself in 360 degrees. It moves to the very edge of the sphere anywhere and repeats what it did the first time. It creates this image, which also creates the Vesica Pisces. Within the Vesica Pisces is a vast and incredible amount of knowledge about width, proportion, depth. Also comes the square roots of 2, 3, and 5, which are all numbers that go on forever. But even more interestingly, comes geometric information about light.
All right. So all you got are two circles, right? When you start with those two circles, you get an oval, right? Remember I told you the zero is really a concept of what? Two? Two
Yes.
circles, baby. Two circles.
Got
The
you.
concept of one is three. It's three circles.
Three. Yeah. I got you.
Okay. So when we say that, why? Because
Energy and motion.
first dimension, we have the notion. We say thought, notion. It's a no action, right? God created the heavens and earth, didn't even do nothing. It was a notion. It was a thought. It was a no action. Then the
Yes.
Spirit of God moved on the face of the water of the deep. Then there was energy in motion. And then God said, let there be light. And we can see through the merger of just these two things, light is created. And that's what the Bible's talking about. It's talking about them two circles.
The breakdown. Breakdown and breakdown.
So yeah. So then you say, well, then we get into, and that's why I said just you understand the concept of zero, then we got two, then we talking about unity, or we talking about like we have thought, which is the first dimension of creation. It's the first dimension. It's no action, yet it exists. It is pure potentiality. From pure potentiality, then it's a 0 point. That's what that is. Pure potentiality.
Yes.
Then we have, like I said before, then in the same way, when we look at, I was showing you earlier, look, you see here, let's see, the Toro, yeah. So this is a Toro, right? So
yeah,
really kind of get in there. And if you see that the pathway of the fool is the 0 card. It's the card of the infinite possibilities, okay? See, this point right here is, we can say we say spirit, the first circle, where spirit is, it's just a Kepher, or it's Metatron, as the angel represents this point. But this point also represents the spirit before it has been divided. Okay, and then you can see the pathway of the fool as it divides from itself, right? And so then we go over here, and I can't say the name of it, but we go into what we have here is the gray. But gray represents wisdom, okay? And so then we have, from the fool, we have the number 2 card, which is the Empress. And but the Empress has, and should you say that, another way of looking at the Empress, we have like the fool, we can say it's a child, and then we can say that we have the feminine figure here, which is the 2, and the Empress is, she's pregnant, but she also has the wisdom and the knowledge. You can see how she's coming out from this direction here.
Right.
Okay? She's has the child, and so she's had wisdom. She's moving here in this direction, and this is second pathway, and then it goes over here to the Great Sea. The Great Sea, it in itself is like the divine mother aspect of creation. The like I said earlier, I was talking about this. I don't know if I was telling you, but this idea of what the void is, like this space of the mother's divine womb, right?
Everything enveloped about verse.
Yes, exactly, right. And so you can see how these aspects of, in a sense, everythingness and nothingness here, right? And the mixture of the becoming wisdom. Okay. But we also have the aspect of the fool, and then the aspect of the Empress. And we say Empress because this idea of royalty, the idea of also moving with grace, feminines, and then we have here number three, which is the magician, and the magician is complete opposite of the fool because the fool has infinite power, not opposite, but it has infinite opportunity and possibility, but it lacks the tools necessary for life. So it has to go through that journey. And so the magician has mastered those things and it has everything that it needs. It's the three. Okay, so it's the
Yes.
three. Okay. And those are three wands. And so the only other thing, then so we have for four, you see here, this is four here, which is the
Mm,
fourth chord, which is the high priestess. And you can see that it's gray, that's wisdom here.
yes.
And so we can see this movement of four. We have stability and movement. We have movement, and then we have stability in the core here.
Right. The
And we
center.
can see those representations all here represented.
Yeah.
That's
It goes deep, man. I don't think
it's
people,
telling
some people don't
you.
understand. Like, I have a few friends that are like, why are you always digging? And I'm like, I cannot help it if I tried. I like, that's how I'm understanding things. If I don't dig, I don't understand. But it helps me, you know? And I think it
Yeah.
would help a lot of people once they see the breakdown. I feel like the material world around you starts to shift because you have that observer effect. Now you're looking at things differently.
I think, yeah, and you I think for me,
Mhm.
uh it wasn't until I experienced a portion of myself as being whole, or should I say, every single time that I've say that was significant in my life, it was a moment in where I felt more and more whole.
Yeah, yeah,
And you'll get to a point to where you feel so whole you become fulfilled. Like you're so full of love and so full of light that you become fulfilled and you overflow.
yeah,
That's called orgasm.
yes.
but, um, but what I'm saying is that over and over again we hear about people having these existential moments of feeling whole or knowing that they're not separate from anything in any way. And that when that occurs,
Mhm.
then there's a shift in perspective and there's a ability to perceive things from a holistic way that's no longer dualistic or separated.
Right, exactly, exactly,
And so it's more about energetic exchange and movement
mhm,
versus what is and what ain't.
exactly.
And so and there's more compassion and understanding and desire for uh how should I say um growth and movement
Yeah.
and contribution.
Oh yeah.
But
I was
anyway,
listening. I think it was Joe Rogan. He said something really interesting, and it made me look at people different. Like people, I get frustrated with them, or sometimes like it'll be a politician or something. I'm like, dang, they just dirty, just. But then like he said that he looks at people as if they were children, and when I started doing that, I was like, oh, something happened to them. Like something bad happened to that person,
hurt people.
and like a lot of people don't do that, and I'm like. That's really all they are. Like we're just kids. Russian nesting doll,
Hmm.
right back to the start.
Yeah,
But
definitely. I have a slide on there. It talks about like something about it talks about kindness. Again, three, right? The
yeah,
kindness to myself
right.
and the kindness to others,
Yeah,
but also the kindness that I am,
right.
the
Exactly.
likeness, the oneness that I am, being able to see myself as one, see the other as one, and
Yeah,
be able to navigate those constructs.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
so,
It's pretty cool. I
yeah,
think
it
we're
is pretty
sitting
cool.
on the brink of not only just large groups of people realizing things, but I feel like the earth as a whole is starting to move a little differently. It's starting to shift away. I don't want to say split. It's not going to split. I feel like it's just on a different path than what it was even yesterday, just last year.
I
Just,
mean, like, are you talking about the earth? Or are you talking about like the global mind of humanity?
Uh-oh, it froze up. I didn't hear the question.
I said, are you talking about like Earth itself, or are you talking about the global mind of humanity?
Both actually. I know I forgot the name. Actually, hold on. There's a book, I think it's Drumvalo. I can't ever say the guy's last
Jean
name.
Volo Melchizedek,
Yeah, yeah. And he
the Secret Flower of Life, Volume 1, Volume 2.
yeah, it's this one, but he has another one. And I forgot the
And
name
he's
of
got
it. I think it's
Volume
called
3.
Oh, it's a volume three? See, I didn't
Oh
know
yeah,
that.
they wrote them. I mean, it's supposed to be coming
Yes,
out.
yeah, I
I
got
got
the
both volumes, yeah.
yes, okay. I
I
need to
tell
get
you,
the
like
third one.
if you read through that, I mean, okay, all right. So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Like, do you feel as though like have you ever had like existential like situation where you felt like you was one with the universe?
Oh yeah. Left the body behind, just dropped it.
Just drop down. What
The
the
job done.
hell? Okay, cool. Well, he talks about like this is what I think, right? And like this is where I feel like the next level of my work is going. It's like all the stuff that I'm working on now is more or less like solidifying the stuff that I've learned and understood, and now it's like the more and more I really look at the knowledge that we already have and things, and it's just for me, it's just more or less taking it and making it my own in some way,
Right.
and being able to take it and give it to other people and share it in a way that they begin to start they can go out and look and find their own way too.
Yeah. You like working, doing the work for them, and here's a gift. You know?
Yeah, so this John Valo, I've been through his class. I haven't gone to workshop with him, but I've been through. How did I get down to ancient the illuminating the what's illuminating the heart? What is it? What is it? It's illuminating the sacred heart. Like I can't remember it. It's not coming up on top right now, but it's called I can't remember the name right now, but basically I've taken his workshop
Uh-huh.
um 3 times because it's a really good workshop, and there's multiple different, mostly it has to do with doing different meditations and things of that nature.
Yeah.
A little bit of understanding about like breath work, understanding how to move energy around in the body, Merkaba activations, things of that nature. And then they have the Omega sphere, and then they have a particular meditation where uh you basically are making love with the universe. And I've done this multiple times and had multiple, like, not what I would call like orgasms, like physical secretions, but like a physical manifestation of orgasm within the body.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and I've experienced that, and just through meditation, but understanding how these energy, like the geometries and how to certain types of breath work, understanding how to bring the energy into the body, like all that class is like beautiful for that. And like I've taken some of the concepts and ideas and like turned these ideas, and well, how do we begin to start participating in these ideas without having to go through all the kind of like the rigmarole? How can we kind of like get to the point? Like what's in the way, take care of that, and then what can we do to like really kind of jump in there? And so what I realized was it was a couple of different obstacles. The first obstacle was what I realized was is that people are have some scars, and the concept and the idea that the very thing that you want is the very thing that um, you're most scared of, and so love. And so because that our how we developed our constructs of what love is keeps us away from fully feeling, because in order to truly love, you have to fully feel. And because people don't want to feel hurt or be hurt or feel trauma or those things, they close themselves off from these higher energies because they don't want to feel like it's going to be ripped away from them. So what happens is they develop a subscar, and if they can't develop a subscar, if they have to do that, then they blocks them from doing this higher work. Um, I think in Chinese they call it the jade pillow or the iron curtain. In other ways they call it like a half step. It's like in between the heart, it's like the lower heart and the
Yeah.
lower heart center and the upper heart center. And there's like a we call it like the jade pillow, or they call it the iron curtain, or the half step,
Right.
all of those things. A lot of those ideas, right?
Yeah.
Same thing, subskara. Sanskrit, that's basically what that is. Okay. Uh or a heart wall. That's another way of saying it.
Yeah.
And
Now, is
so
this physical or is it more so energetic? Or is it like,
it's energetic. It's
okay.
energetic. It's emotional.
Yeah.
Like when I do like let's say that if I was going to like what my I can explain it in a second, but how I deal with subscaras. Basically the issue is that you have to get in there and break the whatever it's a mental construct that doesn't allow a person to enter into their heart or fully feel. When I say enter the heart, I mean fully feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And
Area.
so in order to be fulfilled or filled up with energy, you got to be fully filled, like fully feel energy in itself and feel safe, right? And feel so all of those things and so the energy and the chakras have to be all balanced and moving and in symphony. And if it's not, I'm holding on these books like they babies and put them down. Okay.
They are kind of babies.
Yeah, I know. I know. I set them. I have a special spot for them. They sit. I had them sitting right there. And I got a couple of other books that's there too. I'll tell you another book for you to look at but I'm getting distracted.
Holding on to mine too. It's this. It's a good book.
I'll
Okay.
show you one particular book that would be really good to get and to study one particular guy, and
Okay.
he's really good. Um, One particular guy, his name is Raymond Gilbert.
Raymond Gilbert.
I
Okay.
mean, is it Raymond? Not Raymond Gilbert. It's Robert Gilbert. Robert
Okay.
Gilbert. Okay, so Robert Gilbert, you've probably seen it on a commercial from Gaia.
Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
That's Robert
Okay.
Gilbert, the little white dude with the glasses and the
Yes.
suit. That's Robert Gilbert. His stuff is really good. Now, Robert Gilbert studied with this guy. Now, this guy, his name
What's he?
is Dr. Kareem.
Okay.
Come here, homie.
Biogeometry. Oh,
So, biosignal geometry, bio,
oh, they aren't sigils. They're just
bio, yes. And okay, so what he discovered, okay. All righty. So basically what he discovered was this, is that something called the centering force, right? Everything has this idea of centering force, but he also discovered that, how can I put it, like, imagine we had like the best way to break down any aspect is a 12 system. So
okay.
basically what he did was he said, well, basically every construct in the universe can be broken down into a 12 system, into a 12-part system. And those 12-part systems just have different qualities. And so like colors, sound, music,
Oh,
frequency, all of these things can be broken down into a 12 system, and they all have the same 12 qualities.
mm, mm.
And he figured out that particular qualities, certain qualities of certain things, uh, he wanted to know, well, in a 12-based system, well, which one really is like the centering force, like which one of those out of those is more about like the center. And so what he found out is that that the upper harmonics of gold
Mm.
is the centering force, is the upper harmonic of gold matches the centering force. And
Huh.
so interesting, right?
Right.
And so utilizing that information, you began to also understand how various different shapes have different qualities. And so various different number patterns have various different qualities. Some of these have really good healing
Letters.
qualities or
Yeah.
resonating qualities. So the thing about it is he looks at healing as healing the person holistically and multidimensionally. Uh, Looking at the person as a
Right.
multidimensional
Right.
being. And so like certain dots have certain centering force. So it basically has an harmonizing effect.
Yeah.
And so we also learned that certain things allow for energy flow. And so by
Mhm. Mhm.
drawing different sigils and things, that you could uptick regulation in certain organs, certain body parts by doing and drawing certain sigils and stimulating he also learned how to stimulate the visual cortex to allow for this to have greater effect. I mean, dude upchain. So
Oh
like
yeah.
good book. Like
I
so
feel
you
like
like to
the
draw things. So his daughter made a mandala book
oh, look
with
at that.
these sigils in them.
Oh wow. Oh, I
Oh
got
yeah.
chills. That first one. Oh,
Oh
I
yeah.
like that. I like that. John tooth. Oh
So,
wow.
so yeah, there's more in there, but
His daughter made that?
yes, so his daughter took
Amazing.
that and then took his work and then began to start drawing, did a mandala book.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah.
I got interesting stuff right here. It's
I
like
know I
there's
like
my book
that.
sitting here.
I've been interested in like just holistic health, but I feel like now is way more than what it used to be. And like well, I think you knew this about me. So like when I was 17, yeah, 17, they diagnosed me with Crohn's. And I was like, okay, so how do I get rid of it? And they were like, oh, no, no, you have this
Don't
for
get rid of
life.
it. Yeah.
And as soon as they said that, it was research from then on. How do I get rid of this? How do I get rid of this? And then, of course, it took me like 7, 10 years to realize, oh, well, if it wasn't always there, then there was a switch that turned on. But that I'm thankful for that because that led me on my journey to now understand the rice machine, shungite, like all these other healing things. It just like,
Kite.
yeah, it just came out of nowhere. But now I'm like, I haven't had any problems in a very long time. If I do, I know things to do to get it to turn that switch back off. And most of the time it's me. It's me responding to the external that causes the internal fire, the flare up. But
What is
but
Crohn's?
yeah,
Like
Crohn's
what
is
kind
kind of
of
like it's similar to IBS, and I know
oh
people with
yeah.
Crohn's
Okay, yeah,
kick
yeah.
my tail for saying that, but it's the same. It's the same disorder.
Inflammatory disease. Okay.
Yeah, just inflammation.
Yeah.
That fire out.
95, 95% of all diseases are inflammatory diseases, and the
Yep.
other 5% are genetic diseases.
Which
So
leaves not much.
so in other words, what we're talking about, well, what is inflammation? Inflammation is a natural way in which the body heals itself. So it's
Yes.
not inflammation that we're talking about. We're talking about chronic inflammation.
Yes.
And so that's really the issue. And so when we talk about chronic inflammation, what's causing chronic inflammation? Acid, acidosis. And so what's causing acidosis? Either some
Diet.
type of physical thing that you're putting into your body or some
Mhm.
type of stressful thought processes that you're doing,
Yeah.
right? So either your, or it could be your physical environment, right?
Yeah.
Or it could also be, most of the time, for the most part, most abnorm, ab, eh, abnap, abnap,
Oh, anomalies.
abnormalities.
Oh,
Most
everyone. Yes.
abnormalities all come down from some type of energetic energy that's not moving correctly.
Yeah.
I mean,
You see me like looking. I keep hearing this like noise. I'm in an
yeah,
old house, so I
like
keep hearing
here's my
creaking.
that's my small book I was looking for. Emerald tablets. I mean, like if
Oh
we
yeah, by
really
Billy Carson.
no that
Oh,
Emerald tablets, Billy Carson. That is the compendium of the Emerald tablets. This is the Emerald tablets, not the compendium of Emerald tablets.
that's the actual.
Yeah, I haven't even
I
read
gotta
his
check.
book yet. I actually like
I started it.
I seen Billy Carson. I actually met Billy Carson and like
Did you?
yeah, and I
I
started
know.
to have a conversation with him, but I was just like, I don't really need to talk to you. I said, go out and serve people that need you to talk to. It's like you talk about the same shit I talk about. So I don't it's like
Yeah.
Oh, Billy
Every time I see
Carson.
him, I'm like, how old is this man? Because I did not know. I thought I was thinking he was like, close to my age. And then
He's
he was talking about
45 or something.
maybe,
45,
maybe he
46.
has a 31-year-old daughter. So I was like, well, I'm 31. I thought he was 30. He was like
Nah,
31.
he's closer to his like early 50s, late
Okay.
40s.
I don't know what he's drinking, but
I
life
mean,
for
like, I think that number one is that like a lot of times black people don't age at that like you know. Plus, if you
it.
got black hair, you have
Ellen.
curly hair, so he doesn't have curly hair. I mean,
True.
like he's like I don't know. It just seemed like I don't know. Billy Carson just
There's a energy to
he's
him.
he's different.
I'll take
He's
it. I'll take
different.
it.
He's one of them different
I'll
people.
take
Like because I was sitting there, it was like I was talking to him, but I was just like, but anyways, man, I got the wrong number.
Uh-oh.
Uh, there it is. Okay, so when I do my energetic practice, when I work with people,
Uh-huh.
because I recently wrote this stuff down because I've been like I didn't turn this into a class, but I also have to. It's just more getting things together. Like
Yeah.
over the last, I would say 3 years or so that I've been doing this,
Yeah.
it seems like we would think that like I've been doing this for a long, long time. Like certain things, you'd be like, oh, how long are
Yeah.
you doing this? Like, what are you
But you're
doing?
passionate about it. Ain't nothing wrong
Like,
with
I'm
that if you're
obsessed.
passionate.
Yeah, I
Yes,
know.
I get it.
So like, so when I do work with people, it's almost like being like what one of my homies calls me like a witch doctor. It's like a wizard witch doctor or something like that, energetic something like that. But basically like so when I take on somebody, the first thing I'm looking at their posture.
Right,
I'm
right.
looking at how they walk, how they stand, how they're holding themselves, because it's giving me further information into how energy is moving into their body.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the other thing is that I'm looking at their flexibility and mobility. So when I get somebody on my table, I have specific stretches and things, and I'm looking at specific mobility. I thought I was going back to something. I'm looking at specific abilities for mobility.
Right.
I'm looking at and their flexibility. So what I mean is mobility is like how the joint actually moves, and then flexibility, think all the
Far.
way back, right? How far? And
Yeah.
so all of those things are certain tells. Like I can already tell if a person if they can't take their arm and put it like if they can't get it, let's say parallel like this, they're gonna have neck and back issues. Off
Yep.
top, like straight up, like so you can't do this, huh? Neck back issues. And so, and then certain stretches of the hips, certain in the lower back. And that's all I need to
Right.
do, certain little things. And it tells me certain positions of move of your how the energy is actually moving, but also how you're behaving and what are you doing? Do you exercise? You don't exercise, but I don't need to ask you that. I can just look at your body.
You already know.
I can tell what you're doing and not doing. And so then I say aesthetics. What I mean, aesthetics means beauty, but aesthetics also mean symmetry. And
I
so
was
I'm
about to
looking,
say that. Yeah.
and so I'm looking at the symmetricness of the body. Does a person lean more this way,
Yeah.
or what muscles are inflamed up, the left or the right? These are also telling me um, issues with feminine, masculine, probably mother or father. And I'm just, all of these things, I'm just getting more and more information as I go. It's like, so by the time I finish with the person, I've built a whole profile of what's going on, but I go even farther. Like, so the next thing is like,
Exactly.
so next thing I'm looking at the physical level. I said posture, I was looking at flexibility, looking at the symmetry of the actual body, and all the other thing is how we transition from this physical thing and then we go into the energetic thing is pain. People think, oh,
Yes.
pain is physical, pain is psychological. Um, So, so this idea that what the pain is, but it's energy in motion. Okay, so this
Yes.
idea of, so how is the energy moving? So I'm looking at the meridians.
Right.
So
Right.
so if a person tells me, say, hey, James, I got pain in my jaw. So if a person may have pain in my jaw, like what particular is it? It's like here, more like here. And then if we're talking about jaw, most likely it's gonna have to do uh with the stomach meridian. And so with
Ah,
the stomach meridian, so we say, okay, stomach meridian, or do you have poor eyesight? I obviously you can say I have a stomach meridian issue, and I have sore jaws, and I have IBS sometimes, right? So why stomach meridian? You can just instantly and you can tell. So if a person
yes.
has issues, let's say a person have issues with anger. Oh, you got issues with anger, gallbladder. Or like anger and resentment. Not so much as anger, but anger and resentment,
Gallbladder.
gallbladder. Issues, you're gonna have hip issues, neck issues, gallbladder coming in right there. So if that little spot right there is like really sore
Right.
here,
So,
and then it comes out back into the hip. So then in the hip, you're like, oh shit,
oh,
I got problems in the hip. Yo,
yeah.
gallbladder,
Uh-oh.
gallbladder.
My head
So
be popping, but I don't know. And I mean like not
it's
popping, but I mean like pop, actually cracking.
yeah. So it's like I said before, it's when you, but then so what we do is like go in, identify what particular, we call those circuits. It's 12 meridians, it's 12 circuits. Remember 12 systems again,
That's the
right?
breakdown.
So we say 12 different systems. And so uh those are, but though really six, because we say 12, but it's six because it's one runs down and then runs up and completes a channel backwards and
Yes.
forward, positive and negative. So it's two sets of six, which make a 12 system. Okay.
Okay.
So, but I'm looking at which one of those points are turned off. Okay, it's turned off. Okay. And I can track where the energy is being turned on and turned off. I do it all the time.
Gotcha.
I
Yeah.
can even like it's very interesting too that there's an there's another one in the back and it's called the governing vessel. And so a lot of the cranial sacral work will be done from the cranium down to the all the way down to the sacral. And I'll just go and I'll look where the points are in the back and to see where the sore spots are. So they got those
Yeah.
issues in the back. There'll be issue that'll be sore up here, and then there'll be another one that a corresponding one. I'm looking for it.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, yep, that one right there. And so I'll take them and I'll hold them and I'll run energy through them, run.
Yeah. It's a
And so
circuit.
yeah, and so it's various different ways. It's various different ways to look at the circuits. So once you get the circuits turned back on, now you can put energy into the system. And there's multiple different ways. The easiest way is to go out and ground. And
Yes.
so, and another way is like I do all these things, but there's ways to do it mentally. It's ways to do
Mm,
certain meditations to visualize the chakras,
mm.
uh to visualize the meridian, seeing the energy flowing perfectly and divinely, seeing, almost imagining a laser focusing and honing, and as it focuses and hones, you can see and feel the focusing energy resonate and harmonize your chakras. I don't know, just throwing some words out to make it sound good. But
Hey, it makes sense. It makes
I know,
sense.
right?
I
But
got you.
yes, anyways, but so that's some of the things that I do and I work with people. And so when I'm going through the chakras, I can see people's memories because the chakras in a sense are really kind of like these vortexes or that are projecting reality, bringing reality to you. And reality looks like that because those different energy signature, different energy centers are literally projecting the world around you and your perception. And
Yes.
so, and they're in largely what limits a person's ability while they go out of balance is because of memories or distortions of, little Timmy got beat, raped, or like maybe it's marble stuff, And so when I go through somebody's field, I use a tuning fork, and the tuning fork picks up on any type of disturbances that's there, and it makes multiple different sounds. And so if I pick up on something and it doesn't clear itself after some passes, oftentimes sometimes maybe I'll get like maybe just a little short image. Sometimes I get full on downloads, like I'm just like walking around and like literally like there watching something happen. It's pretty, sometimes
As
it's
that
pretty freaky.
person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as like, no, I can see what's happening. I'm
Oh,
not them. I'm watching
oh,
what's
watching
happening.
the actual.
I
Okay.
can go
Yeah.
there and watch what happens. And sometimes I just get images of like an image, like boom, like,
Yeah.
and sometimes I get full on like technical. I'm like right there, like
Right.
watching what's going on, like, whoa, you
Wow.
know? So most of the time what happens is because I have the ability, been there, done that, had, all of those horrible things happen to me, been to war, many near-death experiences, all of those things, and went inside of myself and reconciled a lot of those things. Not to say that I'm perfect and everything's great, but to say that
Nobody
through
is.
my witnessing myself and having compassion for myself, that when I go in and I witnessing somebody else going through things, I'm not judging whether it's wrong or right, both parties, no matter what happens. It's just standing there and having compassion and understanding no matter what's going on. And
Yeah.
so if it doesn't clear up, then I'll just say something to the person, say something brief. It doesn't have to be a whole lot. Just what I'm observing, tell them what I'm observing. I'm observing you at this age. Okay, this happened with like this. Just observe it, have compassion for it, forgive it,
Yeah.
and let it go. And so I just keep working through the field, and then most often it just lets go, right? And
Yeah.
so I worked all the way, I go all the way through all seven chakras. Sometimes people can't make it all the way through. Sometimes some people's been through some shit,
Yeah.
and they can't make it through a full, what I call a biofield attunement, where I can go through all of their chakras and tune them. Now I could tune
Yeah.
them like that. I could go through and like turn them back on, but they turn them back off relatively quick. They would shut back off, or go back into imbalance much, much quicker. If I went through a full biofuel attunement and actually went through the field, looking at all of the memories, looking at all of how the energy is moving, then they would stay alive for much longer until that person needed whatever else needed to come up before them to integrate.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, so I mean that's what I'm up to, you know what I'm saying? And then once they do that, then we work with mental constructs, whatever the mental constructs, and understanding the universe, and it's just like nothing separate from you, all blah 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 ideas. But so once you do the physical work for myself, go through the body, go through the memories, all those things, look, see why this person's like that or whatever, and then like, okay,
Yeah.
we'll come up with an actual plan for them, like, okay, all right, obviously it's your thinking process,
So it's
and
kind of
thinking process.
maintenance.
Mhm.
Thank you all so much for watching part 1 of the Philosopher's Stone podcast featuring James Stevens. Check out the link for part 2.